For this project, I had to do some 3D modeling, a bunch of 3D printing, and use almost all of my garage equipment to finally put together my favorite project so far. But not so fast. Back in June 2022, I picked up this old headlight. I've tried to build this project a few times since then, but I kept getting stuck and didn't know how to finish it. That is, until I was walking through IKEA and found a bowl that immediately reminded me of this project. I thought it would be a great reflector for this lamp. The first challenge was designing an insert for the bowl that would hold the glass in place. After modeling the bowl and the glass in Fusion 360, I needed to design a piece to fill the gap between them. The first attempt failed because the model slipped off the build plate. I tried printing it without any supports, and as you can see, the plate had collected some dust. The results speak for itself. I still used the unfinished part to check the dimensions and make sure I was headed in the right direction. I prepped properly for the second attempt, and this time the print came out exactly how I wanted to. After spending what I felt like an eternity peeling off supports and cleaning up the model, I finally tried to test the fit, only to find out that the glass wasn't even close to sliding in. Just like the first time, I used the second attempt to see how it sat in the bowl and to figure out if I needed to tweak anything else besides the fit for the glass. I also added a cutout to insert to see if the glass would actually fit inside, and, more importantly, if the entire assembly would still fit perfectly into the bowl afterward. To avoid printing such a large piece and wasting a bunch of filament on prototypes, I decided to just print a small section to see how it fit both the bowl and the glass. It took me quite a few tries and several prototypes, but I finally managed to nail down the perfect fit both for the bowl and the glass. And here we are, printing the final version that, fingers crossed, is actually going to work. Oh yeah, that is incredibly satisfying sound. After all of those failed attempts, this is exactly what I've been looking for. And there is another one. Next up is the back of the bowl, the crucial piece designed to house the bulb holder and lock everything securely to the bowl itself. Since I wasn't 100% sure about the exact thread specs, I decided to print a quick prototype first. It was the best way to test the fit and make sure the bulb holder would actually screw smoothly before committing to the full piece. It took me quite a few tries to nail down the perfect fit and find the exact thread that would actually catch and hold the bulb holder securely. This one might not have that satisfying sound, but trust me, it comes with the incredibly rewarding feelings of a perfectly fitted thread. Once that was achieved, I immediately printed the full version of the back part, then tested it to make sure everything was solid. Going to step number 3. This time we need to build the connector that bridges the bowl and the platform. I designed the necessary connector, including dedicated slots for the nuts inside the model so they can be securely bolted together. This time I managed to get the parts right on the first attempt. Straight off the printer, I immediately checked the holes to ensure the screws passed through perfectly and confirmed there were no major issues with the models. Another incredibly satisfying moment is when you pause the print to insert the nuts, then hit resume and watch as the printer lays down the next layers, hiding them securely inside the model forever. After a quick test to make sure those parts fit together seamlessly, it's time to move on to the next stage, which is probably the most difficult part of this entire project. And this is the platform, the central hub of the entire design. The piece acts as the bridge, joining the top assembly, the bowl and its connector directly to the legs. For the platform, I'm using a piece of oak left over from a tabletop project I did a while back. I 3D printed a template for the base that has all the necessary holes already marked out. After applying some masking tape to the oak, I'm gluing the template securely onto what will become the base. Once that is done, I'm going with a jigsaw to get the rough shape cut out. To get the shape exactly right, I'm using a router with a pattern bit to follow the template. Using the drill press, I'm drilling the holes exactly where they're supposed to be. Finally, I need to drill a slightly larger hole to fit the power button. With that, the shape is set and the holes are drilled, so the next step is to smooth out the corners and give them a nice radius. That brings us to the next challenge, the tapered legs. To get that cut right, I had to build a tapering jig, which I showed in another video. If you want to see how I made that, check out the link in the comments. Here are the finished legs. Now we just need to round them over and give them a good sanding. The base and legs are all finished and ready to be assembled. I was too lazy to make a separate template for the holes, and I definitely regretted it later. But you know that feeling when you're so close to finishing and you just want to get it done, so you're making these shortcuts that aren't actually optimal. Since the legs meet the platform at an angle, I needed a way to hold them steady while the glue dried. I ended up attaching a small wooden block to each leg to act as a leverage point for the clamps. And here is where I pay the price for my laziness. Since I didn't use a proper template for the holes at the end of the legs, the fit wasn't exactly seamless. It wasn't a total disaster, but it wasn't perfect either, so I decided to give it a heavy sanding to hide the imperfections as best as I could. I also filled the gaps and cracks in the wood to give it a cleaner look. I gave it a final cleaning to prep the surface before applying the finish. The only thing left before final assembly was cutting the holes in the bowl. The small holes for the connector were simple, and I thought the one on the back would be just as easy. However, I ended up spending quite a bit of time on it because my original plan didn't work. I had to use a Dremel to enlarge the hole, since my drill bit couldn't reach the radius I wanted. Actually, that helped a lot, since the original hole wasn't perfectly centered. I was able to use the Dremel to fix the alignment to get everything centered properly. During this part, I accidentally dropped the ball and bent it a little. At first, I was pretty upset. But then I remembered that line from Laura Kampf: every defect gets respect. In the end, I decided to keep the ball with that minor dent. It serves as a reminder of the actual effort I put into this and the process it took to get here.